Hey Dabbles, I hope this video finds you doing well. Before I even get started today, I want to tell you about beachcityboutique.com. I've made videos about them before, so if you subscribe to my channel, you would have seen it. They are not ads. This is a company that I absolutely love that is owned by one of my dear friends, Kelly, and essentially she creates all sorts of different kinds of gorgeous soaps. They literally can be used for decoration. They can be used for your body. I mean, literally the cutest. A little doggy with its bone. Oh, I'm obsessed. Look at those details. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. The colors, you can see the gold like glistening. I worked in film for so many years and she made me some custom made film soaps. Look at how cute that is. And again, look at the detail. Kelly's story is essentially that she used all these store-made ingredients that were terrible for her skin and it always left her with different issues. So she wanted to create something that only used the finest quality of ingredient, and she's got all sorts of these different fragrances and styles to choose from. I have not had a single fragrance that was not absolutely incredible. And when I use these, it literally scents my bathrooms and just smells so good. That's not even the purpose of them, but when I have them out, they just smell really good. If somebody has a new house or a realtor or even like gingerbread, she's just got all these different styles and for every single occasion. There's all sorts of different things on her website. I'm sure you can find something that fits your style, that fits your event or your gift giving. And even if not, she creates custom made orders. So as long as you give her enough time, she can actually create what you're looking for and what you need. So make sure to check out her stuff at beachcityboutique.com. Today I'm super excited to share with you how I updated the bathrooms in this townhouse that I have renovated with very little money. If you watched my last video, I showed you how you can refresh a space by painting doors. It's kind of one of the new exciting things that you can do to kind of create an accent in a space. And I showed you how I was able to refresh the top level of a townhouse that I renovated by just painting the doors black. So if you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend go back and watch that because it's another really super simple trick that you can update a space for less than $30. Something else that I wanted to note is that a lot of times you spend all this money to renovate a space, for example, putting in new floors or putting in a new kitchen. But if you don't update it all, unfortunately, it could still look very dated. There's a lot of different tricks that you can do, and I'm gonna share all the little ones that I did that aren't all perfected. They're probably not ideal in a situation if you have the budget, to be able to renovate in a proper way. But it's definitely something that has helped this space feel completely new without breaking the bank. And what I'm going to show you today is actually one of those little tricks. For under $25 each bathroom, I was able to update the entire tub. So there was two bathrooms in this townhouse. One of them was the master bath and one was the guest bedroom bath. In the guest bedroom, it just had one of those like plastic tub things that they put in floor to ceiling. And essentially I didn't have the budget to update that, but it was a dingy beige color and it just had spots and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of looked old and dingy. So I really wanted to see if there was a way that I can update it. In the master bath, we kind of went back and forth on that. Initially, we had talked about putting a floor-to-ceiling, just walk-in shower. But in the real estate market, a lot of people like to have bathtubs. So unless you have the space to put a separate tub with your stand-in shower, it's not recommended that you replace the tubs because a lot of people still want to have that bathtub. People like having baths, and of course, if you have children, it makes it a lot easier to have a bathtub. So we decided, we're gonna keep the bathtub, but we're gonna renovate the top of it to kind of tile it and make it a little bit more upscale. But the same thing with the master bath. I had this dingy big old tub that just looked old because it had this like beige color, which I think was really popular probably in the 90s. But like right now, I think that like whites and crisp, clean colors that are pure, those are what's really fitting in and making spaces feel new and serene and relaxing and inviting. So I wanted to kind of update it and find a simple and cheap way that we can update that without breaking the bank. And I did a lot of research and I was able to find that Rustoleum actually creates this tub and tile basically that will update and reglaze, if you will, the tubs. I've tried to get an Amazon affiliate link for my channel, but unfortunately, I guess I don't have enough followers yet. I'm not really sure. They don't exactly tell you what the stipulations are to get an account. So unfortunately, I can't link to it specifically, but I was able to find these Rustoleum tub and tiles for two of them for $25 each. So it ended up being $50 to do both bathtubs. I will say this is not an ad at all. I love Rustoleum products. They've become like the go-to for different products that they have to update spaces. So if you're ever looking to update anything, I highly recommend looking at them. For example, I redid this old Jeep when I was leaving California. I bought this Jeep temporarily when I left my job, and I was like, you know what? I feel like this just could be updated in small little ways. I bought the Rustoleum trim spray that was just completely updated my Jeep. Anyway, but I absolutely love their products. I've used it for a variety of different things and different projects, and I just think that they are really creative on trying to help you kind of update spaces and things without having to spend a ton of money and completely redoing it. The cool thing about this is that you can use it in your tub, and you can also use it on tile. So if you have like old, super old tile, you can make it white, and white subway tile in bathrooms is really trendy right now. So I think that, you know, you can update the space. And the thing is this is something that I feel like everyone should be doing. Like, this is like something that I did to get creative to update my bathtub, but I feel like everyone could probably reuse a new glaze on their bathtubs every few years. And I lived in California for many years, and I will say, they do not update anything. It's so infuriating. They have these super old bathtubs. I see it in my friends' pictures sometimes. When I first moved to LA, my bathroom was this old, dingy pink bathroom, and I lived in a nicer complex and a newer, like, updated complex, where they hadn't updated the bathroom, and it had all this pink tile and a pink tub, and I was like, oh, it was so horrible. But I ended up getting really creative and kind of doing a whole French theme to kind of make it fit and make it work. But essentially I was like, man, like, this is just so dated. Had I known that these products existed, it's so simple, especially if you're a landlord, especially if you are trying to update a space with very little. You can really just do it for so cheap. All it takes is a little bit of your time. So what I ended up doing is buying this Rustoleum tub and tile. And essentially the things that you'll need is, you'll need something to mix it, a wooden painter mixer. I ended up using, definitely would recommend wearing gloves. I would actually recommend also putting your hair into a cap of some sort, because I stupidly went and I was like glazing, and I guess my hair was getting touching it somehow, and it ended up getting in my hair and it did not come out. I was able to peel some of it off, but basically I just had to kind of grow it out and cut it off. So highly recommend being very careful with this stuff. Make sure that you put tape all over the edges, all over your hardware. Also make sure to put it on the flooring behind you. Now, I was able to find out that you can take a nail polish remover, and it does kind of take it off, but you don't want to take the chance. That's just an emergency situation if you happen to have an accident or whatnot and you have to clean it up. But you want to be really, really careful with this stuff, because it is very sticky. This is a chemical reaction that is happening, and it's not easy to get off. So please be careful, do the due diligence, and do all of it. So I had shower doors I had to take off, but you have to do an impeccable job of cleaning. That's probably the hardest part of this entire process, is the cleaning process. I had shower doors, so I had to go in and actually like scrape off the adhesive from the shower doors. I had to fill in with, like, they have this special like water putty, I think it's called. It's like a different, you know, special putty that you put in and dry in a way that can be consistent with getting wet regularly. And essentially I had to fill all of those holes and get it very clean. I cleaned probably a couple times because I had to get off all of that adhesive, and then I essentially, you know, had to sand it all down and clean it, and then sand it all down and clean it. So that is really important, because you want it to be as clean as possible, because once you get that glaze on there, if you have any dirt or dust or whatever, it can get on there and it can really make it look either, you know, sloppy or chunky, and you don't want that to happen. So essentially I got a little sander from the dollar store, and I just sat there and I completely sanded it down. I would rinse it, I would let it dry, do it again, and once I felt it was really clean and, you know, really smooth, and all the dirt and dust and adhesive and all of that was gone, then I was finally ready to put it on. Before you even start, make sure after you do all the cleaning that you let it completely dry. Nobody was living in this townhouse when I was redoing it, so I was able to go away for a couple days and come back so I can make sure that it was entirely dry. And what I ended up using is a foam roller to put it on. I had read a ton on this before I did this project, and essentially it makes it look like it was sprayed on as if it came from the factory. So it makes it look, you know, brand new. I would suggest buying several foam rollers. Like, I went and bought like the 5 or 8 pack that they sell, and I ended up having to use a couple foam rollers because it does, the chemical reaction that's happening does kind of make it fall off sometimes and then kind of crumble, and you want to be really careful because you obviously don't want that to get stuck on your tub as you're redoing it. So once you have it completely cleaned, have everything taped off, your flooring and the edges and all of that, you can begin. You basically put can A into can B and you mix it, and you'll see it's this super weird milky but like thin milk. material. Like, it's like a very weird material as you are mixing it. Once you create this mixture and mix it together with your little wooden thing, you can start rolling it on. I poured it into this to, you know, have it separately where I can like kind of put my roller in there and then put it on. And essentially you just start putting it all over the tub. My first round, I started and it was super milky and I was like, oh no. It was like dripping and it was like not sticking like very well. And I was kind of freaking out that I was ruining it. But I will say, first of all, if you end up doing that, it's totally okay. If you have time to wait a little bit before you start, maybe do that. You don't want it to harden too much because you also have to put it all on, wait, you know, an hour and a half, and then come back and essentially paint it for the second time. Just make sure that if it's dripping that you end up going over it and, you know, kind of smoothing it out to make it look like that regular textured bathtub that you are looking for. I started out by doing all the walls first because I was standing in the tub, and then I came out and did the inside of the tub by standing on the outside. Essentially, you'll go through and go over it and get every spot and make sure that, you know, it's smooth. That's the only thing I can, you know, tell you is just make sure that it's smooth. Then once you get the entire thing done, stop, take a breath, walk away for a little bit, make sure that you put the material back in the can and just keep it covered, and then go away. Let the first layer, you know, dry a decent amount, and then you're gonna go back and put the second layer, and that's when you're really gonna see it. The first layer, I was like, man, I don't think this looks right. It's not sticking, or it's thin, and it is milky, and it just doesn't feel right. By the time I went to the second coat, it started to work out really well. So essentially you'll go do your second coat. Again, make sure that you get really well around the corners, make sure you're not getting on the hardware or anything like that, and, you know, do all your little touch-ups, and voila. And then when you're done, it has to curate and basically like dry fully. So you're gonna leave it for 3 days for it to completely set. There were some people that had blogged that they had to do more coats. I did both bathrooms and I did not have to do that at all, but it took away that beige color. It was actually coated over that, so it looks crisp and clean and white. And you know, I have actually used that shower since then to test it out, and I've used it several times for about 4 or 5 months now, and I will tell you that it works perfectly. Once you're done letting it dry, enjoy. Guys, it is new, it is refreshed, and I'm sure that you and your guests and your family will be so happy because it feels and looks clean and pure and just absolutely wonderful. Again, if you have the money to completely redo your bathroom, great, do that, that's awesome. But if you don't and you want to refresh the space, this is one way to do it. And if you don't want white, there are other colors. This is just a way that you can update your space. If you live in an apartment, I know that this is something that you can recommend to your tenants and your landlords. If you are a tenant or a landlord, it's something that you can use as well. And if you're just wanting to make your space feel new again because it's old and dingy, this is so simple. For just $25, I was able to update this bathtub and make it feel new and clean, and it makes you want to sit there and to take baths. And you can use your Beach City Boutique soaps to do that because they smell so good, and I promise you, I promise, you will love them. Anyways, thank you so much, Dabbles, for watching today. Hope this helps as you guys are updating your space, and thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. I'm doing a bunch of little home series on little creative tips like this one, and I have a bunch of different craft videos and little things for decoration, which I'm gonna be sharing in future videos as well. So make sure to subscribe. Thank you, Dabbles. Bye-bye.